All right, so today's lesson is on the principles of design. There are 5 of them. The elements of art are the basic building blocks of visual art, but the principles of design are the way that we use the elements of art to create good compositions. As I said, there are 5 of them. I'm going to divide my paper into a graphic organizer. I want you to do the same thing, and I also want you to make sure that when you are copying, you do exactly what I do. That way, we all have the same notes. The first principle of design is called emphasis. Oh, I wanted that to be in orange, but oh well. Emphasis is the element of art that draws attention. Or excuse me, it's a principle of design. You create emphasis by making sure you have contrasting elements. Yes, sir. I invited you to do so before I started videotaping. For example, if an artwork has a large dark area and it's surrounded by light area, your eyeball is going to be drawn to the dark area. The next word is called balance. The principle of design, balance, creates stability in your artwork. Oops, tried to spell it wrong. Stability means that it looks like it's finished. It looks like it all belongs together. It looks like, everything, there's about as much light as there is dark, there's as much dull as there is bright. It just sort of works. Stability is really good. If something is unbalanced, it's easy to tell because you're looking at it going, it really needs a... Or even though if you don't know what it needs, you are thinking to yourself, it needs something. Okay? So it's easier for you to tell that something is unbalanced and then fix it than oftentimes to plan balance. The third is called variety. This one's fun to write. Variety means exactly the way I've drawn the word. Variety is creating interest. I forgot to tell you what balance meant or how to do it. You create balance by making sure that you have equal treatment with the use of the elements. Variety is how we create interest. And the suggestion there is to use a variety of the same element plus a little bit of contrast. That's like, for example, in the mural at the back of the classroom, there's a lot of different shades of blue. But because I have a lot of blue and it's the background color and blue is repeated, it's there. But if I had all the same blue, it would be boring. By having lots of different kinds of blue, it is more interesting. Boring artwork is never any fun to look at. Interesting artwork is much more fun to look at. The fourth word is harmony. It's kind of the opposite of variety. Notice that the way I wrote that word, it's all the same. When you have harmony, you've created unity in your artwork. Some art teachers will actually use these two words as synonyms, harmony and unity. What it really means is that all parts work together well. The way you get harmony is by repeating an element. The fifth principle of design is movement. How many of you watch any kind of racing? You watch some racing? All right. Have you ever noticed that the numbers on the racers, whether it's cars or motorcycles or whatever, are always slanted, whether it be forwards or back? Because a racer wants to look like he's going fast. Right. So by the way that I arrange it, by using a diagonal, by using an angle, it already creates movement. Another thing that you could do is you could actually write the word movement in a curve, because your brain actually likes to connect things. So it likes to follow a trail. So when you tell it which way to go, then it will follow it. That's why we can read the word movement even though it's written on a curve. But our eye follows that, and we can even guess what might happen next. We can predict the next the next version of the curve. So it's really good. The movement is especially important because it leads the viewer, that's the person looking at the artwork, around the composition. That is essential. An analogy would be like the director for a film. This is the guy or lady who has the vision of what they want the audience member to see. And they work very hard in every decision that they make, from casting to costuming to sets to special effects to music to editing, goes into building that vision for the audience member. Because what he's doing is he's creating an escape, right? An experience he wants to lead you through. And if the director does a really good job, then you get lost in the movie. And you follow wherever they lead. If it's a horror story, you get suspense building, and then they scare the snot out of you. And then it does it again, right? If it's a love story, you've got the contrast of the two hearts that want to be together but can't, but try, but can't, but try, but can't, and finally succeed in the end. Or don't, and those are the love stories we don't like. But, that's what the director is doing. How you do that in an artwork is the same. You can draw somebody in with emphasis. It can be balanced. You can even have variety, but if you don't have good movement, people are bored and they're not going to look. They're not drawn in. They're not really into it. They don't get lost. You have to move the viewer's eye around the composition. How you do that is you got to use curves, angles, repetition, and or progressions. progressions are sort of difficult, not necessarily to, I think you understand them better than you think you do. Like if I started, like say for example, line, that element. A progression with line might show a very thin light line that slowly graduates into a wide dark line. Would that be a progression? Or if I was using shape and I was using a circle, I had a very small circle and then it was repeated, getting larger and larger and larger. That would be a progression. Or backwards, if it was very large and got smaller, smaller, smaller. Those would be progressions. So you may have any questions about these elements of art. Principles of design. These are the last 5 of that vocabulary set of 12 that your first quiz is going to be based on. All right?